StarCast is proudly sponsored by DoghouseSystems.com. If you use the code StarCast or Biscuit at checkout, you will get double memory on your next Doghouse system. And also TweakedAudio.com. Go to TweakedAudio.com for high-performance noise-reducing earbuds. Use our code StarCast and get 30% off plus free shipping on your entire order. And finally, SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com. Daily quotes from the StarCraft 2 community. The site may suck, but the quotes are sick. And make sure to go check out their t-shirts in their new store. Once again, that's SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com, and we thank them for their support. Sponsor an episode of StarCast at thestarcast.com.
Hell, it's about damn time for StarCast.
Incoming transmission.
Biscuit.
Welcome back, everyone, to the 162nd episode of StarCast, the StarCraft podcast. I am your host, Garrett Weinzierl, and joining me, as always be, and shall forever be, for the rest of the future, into the legacy of the void, is Kyle Fergusson. Kyle, dude, how are you doing?
I like that forever and then abrupt cutoff for safety.
Wait, what?
Well, you were saying me forever, and then, Legacy of the Void. I don't know about this Kyle guy. Maybe cutting him then. Who knows? Protoss campaign, I don't think he can handle it. I'm doing well, Garrett.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know, man. It's glad to hear.
I feel like we survived Y2K all over again this past weekend.
Y2K?
Yeah, like a whole lot of buildup. All this like, oh my god, Dota's just going to steamroll StarCraft. And then it ends. Everyone agrees that it was awesome. And now it's just silence.
Yeah, it's that's pretty much what's going on. I think everything's been wonderfully constructive. The discussions we've been having after the International 3. Yeah, you go on to StarCraft subreddit and stuff gets a little negative here and there, but
it's
overall,
not that bad.
Right. I feel like it's very constructive and incredibly well thought out. And honestly, I think this is really great for everyone involved.
Yeah.
A rising tide raises all ships.
Nice.
So there you go. I forget where I read that. It was in reference to this, but I totally stole it from someone, so props to whoever said that. Anyways, it is another week. Kyle, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well. I'm tentative to bring up anything else because I'm sure you're just chomping at the bit to talk about another little Blizzard game that had a trailer come out.
Oh, dear God, man.
As well as an additional, pseudo announcement about a Diablo expansion this week.
Sort of, kind of. A lot of people are blowing the, it was a troll horn at that pseudo Diablo announcement because a pseudo Warcraft announcement was probably a troll, so now people are thinking the Diablo thing was a troll. But the Diablo find is attached to a Battle.net site, so I don't think it is a troll.
Right, and if you link that in Facebook, it puts it together into a nice little icon. So it seems that much more official.
Right, exactly. But there was a series of trademarks registered for Blizzard, and people thought they were WoW expansions, and then come to find out that you can actually register a trademark for free. So it's really easy to make a fake trademark.
Yeah, and you could even put it in Blizzard's name for up to 30 days or something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Right. So MMO Champion, after that was found out, registered Battle Corgis.
Yes, Battle Corgis was
under
nice.
Blizzard Entertainment. So
the one that is most likely the big false is Into the Depths. It sounds real sweet, but it's so generic that it would work with anything.
Yep. You should talk. Well, dude, this is definitely going to be talk on This Week in Blizz on Monday, because I was talking to Ben, and the second he saw it, he immediately delved into World of Warcraft Sherlock. Like, he was just like, and this could mean this, and this. He pulled that all together, all these quotes from all these different bosses to come up with this idea of a Lovecraftian WoW expansion.
Oh, I'd love it.
And I was just like, dude, that sounds amazing. And then 5 minutes later, MMO Champion posted, like, this is probably not real. And we're just like, oh.
Yeah, we have hope with the old gods thing going on. It's basically Lovecraftian.
Yep. But I mean, that's been going on since Lich King, really. So, but we didn't come here to talk Warcraft. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop. The trailer they put out today for patch 5.4. Holy crap, dude! That was amazeballs.
It was really cool. It makes you want to beat him up. And that's all they had to succeed in doing. Granted, he was a little like, your time has come, my time has just begun. Like,
Oh, with so many delightful one-liners.
yeah, Blizzard's always been a little cheeseball in that department, but who can blame them?
Yeah, I feel like the only time it was slightly cheesy, or at least an overdone concept, was the whole Arthas thing. But I feel like all the stuff they did leading up to the Arthas raid was really well done. Like, it was punchy and still had meaning, whereas I feel like the Garage thing is I don't know, it looks like a commercial for a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it was cool. And man, the facial animations on him. Those were nice.
Dude, they've gotten so good with the lip sync technology. Like, they're getting really good with that and using the in-game models. Obviously, this isn't the stuff that's happening in-game in real time. God, I wish that was the case.
I have to look up here the Phantom Menace video game, because it came out in 1999.
Oh, I remember that. That was terrible looking.
Well, but it was great looking for the time, and during that time, people's heads just bobbed instead of actually having any lips to flap.
That's a very good point. GoldenEye was the same way, except there also wasn't even speech in GoldenEye.
No.
It was just text and their head would bob.
So it's amazing how far we've come.
And let us not forget boxing glove hands.
Yes. The boxing gloves hands.
I don't
Yeah,
even...
but that's practically 2000. That's 13 years ago. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the first game I played that had individual fingers, and I can't think of it. Like on hands.
Yeah.
I remember being amazed by the original Half-Life. Their fingers didn't move, but they had open hands. And I remember being like, oh my god, they're not in constant fists. Oh no, they did have fists in Half-Life. What am I thinking about? Never mind. Ignore me. So I don't know, I had so many options for random things to bring up at the top today. I was like, I could talk about how awesome the Grand Theft Auto multiplayer looks. I could talk about the Blizzard cinematic. So I figured I'd keep it in the Blizzard wheelhouse and talk about that real quick, because it just looks badass. And what little progress I've made on my StarCraft 2 skills, man, I feel like they're going to go out the window as soon as that patch hits.
Have you been working at anything?
I've been playing a lot of team games, way more than usual.
Nice.
Had a great time last night with Mork, man. We went 4-5. We went 4-1. We played 5 games, won 4 of them in a row. Lost our last game of the night.
He does tend to win.
Yeah, and we went from like rank 42 silver to rank 12 platinum. So
Damn.
It was a good night.
It actually takes the graphs and all into account a lot. I mean, if all of a sudden you come back to the game with an absurdly high APM, you'll just rocket up the ladder. It is nice.
Yeah. So it was a good time. We had a lot of fun. Just did I played Terran, he played Zerg all night. The last game we swapped races and we lost because he was just like, I just want to go mono battle Widow Mines. And it was working really well until the end. We couldn't close. We could not close out the game. It was bad.
They do go well.
Yeah, because I had this awesome Mutalisk army, and then they just made Hydras and had Overseers. So they were just sniping out all of the Widow Mines and just mutilating my Mutalisks. So
rough.
Sad days, but hey, what you gonna do? Still had a good time and made plenty of progress. So, anyways, dude, we're gonna not talk about the International 3 that much because we have a Dota podcast on the StarCast feed right now. If you missed it, it's just called the Dota 2 podcast, the International 3. Give that a listen. It's just Kyle and I talking about Dota for almost 90 minutes, I think, right?
Yep, and how that affects StarCraft as well. So there's actually quite a bit of StarCraft chat in there. And as I kind of mentioned at the top of the show, things have kind of leveled out. So enjoy that, but there's really not much going forward other than the constructive criticisms, which we've all kind of known in the past. And we're all looking forward to what Blizzard brings to the table at BlizzCon. However, it is nice to see what they're bringing to the table with WCS. I mean, they booked the house with all the hosts and everything there.
Yeah, it's all looking really good, which we're going to talk about right now because the WCS Season 2 finals are grand finals. They're not calling them the grand finals. I wish they would.
Well, they're not the grand finals. Because we got the regional finals,
you're
the
right.
Season 2 finals, and our grand finals are at BlizzCon.
Okay, I feel like there should be some kind of
word in there to jazz it up
something,
for you.
because everything that just previously happened I referred to as the finals in my head.
Those were the regional finals.
Yeah, which I guess also just comes back to my issue with it being all the tournaments, piggybacking on top of tournaments I already followed. So I put more stock in their finals already.
Yeah.
So like when GSL didn't do it this season, but like when we got to the end of season 1 and Gome was putting it on, I really just looked at that as Code S finals. So to me, those Korean WCS finals from season 1, like that was a big deal. And so
Yeah.
it's a personal thing with me. I want some kind of delineation. I don't know.
This break is really nice, though. I enjoy that they had these regional finals this past weekend, and then not until the 24th, 23rd are we going to have these season 2 finals. So actually, by that time, I'm going to be looking forward to this a lot.
Yeah.
And, we watched a lot of the international this past weekend, and man, those are some long games. A full hour per game can get a little wearing.
Yeah, you've really got to, like I said on the Dota podcast we did, I think for me, the biggest difference between Dota and StarCraft is the investment of time to keep up on the esports. Dota is, I'm way more into it now as a result of the International 3. I've been playing a lot more. You noticed the other night that I don't suck nearly as much as I used to.
No.
But
Well done.
But yeah, I feel like if I'm gonna follow their esports, I feel like I'm gonna be doing even more Liquipedia reading than I do with StarCraft because I just don't think I have enough hours to keep up. But there's less tournaments, so
Yeah.
I feel like it might equal out. I don't know. So we'll see where that goes. Anyways, so the WCS Season 2 Finals groups have been announced, and I have 2 comments. Holy Protoss, Batman.
Yeah.
And where all the Zergs at?
My sentiments exactly.
This seems like the exact opposite of what happened last season, where it was all Zerg all the time and almost no Protoss.
This seems like the exact opposite of all the complaints we're hearing about Protoss not having options and having difficulty.
Right, but everyone who is the loudest complainers are always quick to contradict what you're saying, Kyle, by saying that final results are not necessarily a good representation of the game's balance.
Right.
I am Officer Murphy, drop your weapon.
Yeah, Blizzard sitting on graphs and graphs. When they say something is 55%, it's probably 55% across the board.
Yeah, exactly. That's always been the thing that I've always found very interesting about Blizzard was their mission command style statistic gathering in their games going back to the early days of WoW. Once WoW started getting big, you would hear about these. The first thing that really brought it to light for me was like the first giant sweeping like account bans that went out for WoW back in the day when they came out with these numbers like 47,000 accounts have been banned this week.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, holy crap, they must have some serious infrastructure in place to track what is going on in this game. And then later on down the line, around the time of Lich King, I want to say, we started getting pictures of it's literally a mission command of like they have a globe map and lights of everyone who's logged in, and they must be just statistic hounds.
Yeah, but why not? Particularly when you're running games based on balance. I mean, let the system do the work for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, I agree with you. I anytime they come out and they give us statistics, I believe it. So it's not like the weatherman. It's not like 75% chance of rain, maybe. So I don't know, but yeah, this is interesting. And we've got 6 Terran, 8 Protoss, 2 Zerg.
Yep, Jaedong and Scarlet. So nice to have Scarlet in there. I bet she's going to be getting a lot of cheers her way.
Yeah,
certainly.
She's in a group with Maru though. So that's
Maru, MMA, and Jim, who got disqualified.
Yeah,
or not disqualified, but couldn't get a visa.
He had to forfeit. He could not get a visa to the finals.
Yeah.
So that sucks.
That's awful.
Mm-hmm. That's really bad.
But some names you just don't expect to see in here, which is awesome. Still got innovation, which is you forget the point system.
Well,
really.
you forget that he kind of came in like 3rd, basically. I mean, he still did really freaking well.
But the way the GOM system works, you have a solid week between that and the finals, and you just kind of forget. And they're throwing at you, these are the best players in the world. And you're like, I get it, brainwashed.
I would just say the way StarCraft works, I feel like if you don't win like the finals, no one puts it in their brain that you're still really freaking good at this game.
Yeah, it's like actors.
How so?
Oh, you don't
defend that analogy.
You don't do movies for 2 years and everyone thinks you're dead.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I mean, Sean Connery has just erased from existence entirely.
Yeah.
I miss that guy. He needs to make movies again.
He was kind of a truck driver who just showed up on set one day. So he's going to sit on his money and enjoy himself. I don't blame him.
Yeah. So anyways, the question we always ask when groups come out, Kyle, who are you rooting for? Who do you want to see win, and who do you think will win?
Well, the easiest way to do this is let's break down the groups, because these are some mad groups here.
Yeah, so Group A is the most Protoss showing. We have MC, Rain, and Wellmu, all Protoss, and Weinzierl, Jaedong, all facing off in Group A.
MC's been doing really well. I'm expecting it to come between him and Rain.
Yeah, MC and Rain are my picks, but I can never count Jaedong out.
No.
He's not as consistent in StarCraft 2. Obviously, you go back and look at his Brood War career. Incredibly consistent guy. But yeah, he's like randomly really good and randomly
he's
average
Zerg.
for our Korean. Yeah.
Sometimes you smash and sometimes you get rolled over. Welcome to Zerg.
Yeah. So, yeah, MC and Rain are my favorites from that. Group B is Polt, Grubby, Bomber, and First.
We all want to see Grubby.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Polt and Grubby.
Yeah.
And they've been doing so well.
You can't count out
I'm
Bomber.
not sure I'm going to count him out. Bomber, yeah, has had just a crazy resurgence.
Just the season for him has been wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, Group B, I think, is my hardest in terms of being a fan of like who I want to win. I like everyone. Yeah. Group C is Duck Duck, Innovation, Tasia, and Naniwa. I'm going to go with Innovation and Duck Duck.
I caught Duck Duck the other night, but I am not familiar with him.
He's the one, he won Europe.
Yeah, against MC. But that's the thing, I caught that, and I'm still a little confused.
Well, it's because he's kind of the underdog. I mean,
Yeah.
He hasn't had a showing like this before. That was the big story from that. It was like, holy crap, he took out MC. So, obviously rooting for Tasia and Innovation, though, in that one. Is like two of my all-time favorite Terrans, so.
I always have a part of me that roots for Naniwa.
See, I have a big part of me that doesn't.
I
That
don't know what
actively
it
roots
is.
against him. Did you root for Skeletor?
A little bit. I think I like villains, yeah.
Okay, there you go. I guess that's it. And, you know, he's foreigner. One of the most consistent foreigners in the entire history of StarCraft 2 as well. So,
Yeah.
And then finally, Group D, we've got Maru, MMA, Scarlet, and the poor disqualified Jim. So,
Right, so Scarlet only has to go through MMA and Maru.
oh, yeah. Well, I'm wondering, is anyone receiving, like, walkovers?
A bump in?
Like, whoever was paired up to play Jim first, did they just get an automatic point?
I have no idea.
That's
I guess we'll have to see their decision when it comes. Nothing
Yeah.
posted yet.
Yeah. That's odd. I wonder how they'll do that, because if that's the case, if Scarlet was the one to play Jim and they decide to just give her a winning point, she'll only have to, in theory, could just play the winners finals for Group D and move on.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's all wishy-washy. But man, this is hard to call as far as who I think is going to take it.
Well, let's be serious here. I think Bomber could pull a hat trick and take it all, or Innovation could represent.
Or Maru or Duck Duck could just
Exactly,
stay
one of our
on the
new
current,
guys.
on the current fire they're on.
Dudes who haven't been figured out yet are just going to take it all.
Yeah.
So
Maru's pretty cheesy, man, although in the Korean finals, which we'll talk a little bit about later, he finally showed that he could play a standard game.
yeah, he whipped that out in the last few games there and did just fine. But honestly, that kind of seemed like Rain's loss.
He played really well. I don't want to take anything away
No, he
from
was
Maru.
he was very solid, but he definitely got shaken when he was going 3-0, and then all of a sudden the kid starts coming back.
He didn't get down to 3-0. I thought he came back after 2 losses.
Was it only 2?
I'd have to go back and look. I'm sorry. That was one of those ones where I watched a little bit, came back, watched a little. So,
Well, I believe I watched it Friday before the international, so.
No, gotcha. Friday. So you would have stayed up really late, because that's when they did them live.
No, I wasn't up for that. I must have done a Monday then.
Oh, okay. You crazy guy. You're insane.
I don't know when it is.
You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why I have these goggles. I'm trying to. It doesn't show me the. Yeah, Rain 1-2, Mario 1-3. No, sorry, then Mario 1-4. So.
Oh, we didn't mention that during the WCS America finals, they had the voice actors for Minx and Rainer do the announcements.
Yeah, God, how did we forget that? That was totally freaking badass.
Very well done. I enjoyed that nod. It would have been cool, of course, if we had race representation, but who's complaining?
Yeah. And humble brag, Arcturus Manx just started following us on Twitter because he just joined Twitter. You should go follow him right now. The actor's name is James Harper. He just joined Twitter, so go follow him at James Harper SCII and welcome him to the Twitterverse.
Yes, it was a wonderful thing to see this morning, as well as I read his whole tweet in a nice long southern drawl.
I was about to ask you if you read the tweet and if you read it in the voice of Manx.
Of course.
Okay. I'm glad.
It's like reading any Obama quote.
I don't have a good Obama impression, or I would do it right now. But
no, I don't have a good one either. You just take some nice, timely pauses.
Yeah, he's almost like he almost has the same speech pattern as Captain Kirk.
Yeah, he doesn't lengthen anything out. You're right, but he does kind of have that same diction.
We've got some upcoming balance changes.
I like it. Hold on. Nice Kirk.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, we do have some upcoming balance changes to move on from the WCS groups. Go check out the official groups anywhere. You can find them on the official StarCraft site, on the WCS website, or my personal favorite, Liquipedia. Go take a look for yourself. Man, I would love it if, like, Polt just, bam, took it all. Or definitely Scarlet. If I had a fan favorite, it'd be
sure.
Scarlet.
That's just stating the obvious here.
But I feel like every time I really throw my hopes and dreams behind a foreigner, it never works out for me. So I'm trying to be conservative here. And yes, we do watch chat. Giant gnome. So anyway, the upcoming balance changes. We talked a little bit about this on This Week in Blizz this past week, because it came out this Monday. David Kim made a post saying that there is a new balance test map on the horizon. And they're going to be testing 3 new possible changes to the balance of StarCraft 2. The first one being an Overseer speed buff that you would only get after you upgrade Overseer and Overlord's speed. He said that TVZ feels quite balanced until the very late game when there are so many skirmishes and so many Widow Mines. We want to keep the really exciting gameplay while finding ways to help out Zerg in those specific battles. Having to micromanage your army in every engagement, morph new banelings, manage 4 to 5 or more bases, and morph new Overseers can be a bit too much. So we're going to test Overseers, test giving Overseers a speed buff after the speed upgrade is purchased, so that we keep the early and mid-game the same while specifically helping out the Zerg in the later stages. So they won't move as fast as, say, Mutalisk, but perhaps late-game TVZ goes more evenly if Overseers don't lag behind and get killed in most late engagements. So we mulled this over a little bit this past Monday, but this being the StarCraft-specific show, let's really chew on this, Kyle. Has your opinion changed at all about this specific change?
It's absorbed a lot of other opinions, as I often do over the course of the week.
All right.
So now when he says dying, he means mostly in retreats. Because, of course, with the Overlords going slower, they're in the back, not taking any damage. But when you turn around, when you've got that group of Mutalisks trying to avoid the various Widow Mines across the map,
right, you
make that big turnaround, guy's lagging behind, he gets picked off by some running Marines or something, and it doesn't go so well.
Or even, God forbid, if you decide to move everyone out at the same time, so getting to the battle too. If you move your mutas and your Overseer out from the same location at the same time, muta's going to get there way sooner.
Yeah. The general opinion of the pros this week has been, we don't like this, but it's kind of jaded on the fact that they don't want to learn a new unit speed. So they become comfortable with what they have and the way it currently works. So they're concerned that it's going to fly out in front of the Mutalisks, taking a tragic hit by a bunch of Widow Mines. Sight goes away. Now it's even worse than it was before.
Okay.
But for the rest of us that lose Overlords or have to grab one because we've already moved out, or hell, just kind of moving, in less skilled ways, this is going to be a buff.
Yeah, I do exactly what I just said. I grab all my air units and move them together without any thought of the unit speed differential. So I'm happy about this. I hope it makes it to the live game.
It seems kind of odd to be concerned about the death of an Overlord to me, because I've got them everywhere, just hanging out, waiting to become detectors. It's not like Protoss, where if I lose one, I have to take up an important building's time to get another one out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, kind of in an odd place. Of course, speed, hell, love it. I mean, do I need this for scouting? Not really. By the end of the game, either I'm winning and I'm in his base, getting busy and being aware of things, or I'm losing on the defensive, and a faster Overlord sack is going to be fine, but I don't usually send in an Overseer for that job.
But you're talking about just for scouting purposes?
Yeah, just in general, because you need to get the upgrade for it.
Yeah. I don't
know.
I feel like I see Overseas being used a lot for scouting in pro games, and maybe you should just start doing that, because changelings, man. Changelings.
No, changelings are great, but they're usually hanging out on the side. I mean, this speed is not going to greatly increase the 5 seconds that I move from their cliffs to drop in their base and back.
That might mean the difference between you escaping from Stalkers and Marines, though, and I bet on that day, my friend, you will be complaining a lot less.
That's true. That's right. Oh, hey, I'm not complaining. I'm accepting this.
I don't see how this can be a bad thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, no, it isn't a bad thing, and it's interesting that the pro players have reacted. So
yeah, I mean, if your complaint is that you need to learn a new speed or change your play, I mean, I don't understand it at all, because this is a game that's constantly changing in balance and in very minor ways that you just need to adjust to. I mean, Tasteless made a wonderful remark this week, reminiscing about when Widow Mines were first added to the game, and he was just like, I can't believe Blizzard let this unit in. But really, it just came down to you needed to learn the timing of the reloads and become accustomed to the new unit. They weren't as broken as everyone thought they were.
Right, but these balance changes have a huge effect. Look at Hellions right now, or Hellbath drops. They're gone. They've basically disappeared in pro games. You see them, but they're not the main crux of an army.
Yeah. You definitely still see them on ladder, though.
Oh yeah,
for us average players in the non-masters leagues.
I saw them in a DRG game this week. They still happen, but they're not as strong, and it's not like they don't stick on it. They're not like, I'm doing Hellbat drops, and that is my strategy to win games. I will keep doing this till you're dead.
Yeah.
So,
chat room saying Widow Mines are very broken because the win rate in TVZ is 55% in favor of Terran. How is that very broken, though? I don't understand that notion.
Well, you're taking a huge number and breaking it down to a single statistic. So there is a lot of imbalance even in a 5%. It's not 50-50.
Right. But it never is 50-50. Ever.
Well, other than in mirror matches.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, you ass. I don't.
But that's the point of this Overseer buff is mainly for TVZ at the moment.
Yeah.
And hell, can you imagine? I mean, if you're not that good of a player and someone gets Widow Mines, I mean, look at what Mork did last night to you. Look what I do in 3v3 sometimes. Like, Widow Mines are really easy and really fun to use. And against a even slightly lesser skilled player, you can exploit so much stuff that they're not aware of. Just, charge into their mineral lines, and they don't have the control to deal with it, or anything that can deal with like 20 Widow Mines sitting on top of each other, burrowing at once.
True. I guess I'm just not a huge fan of the unit, so as someone who plays Terran a lot, I guess I just don't get it. But again, I mean, we can't talk about pro level balance really from a personal standpoint, because we're not freaking pros.
No.
So, anyways, I'm all for the Overseer speed buff. Bring it on.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, the second change they're going to be on this balance test map is combining the mech ground and air upgrades. This is something they tried in the past. David Kim even went on to say that he doesn't really think Terran is struggling, but mech specifically, he says, has been weak throughout all of Heart of the Swarm. So they want to try this change again with the current playstyles, current meta, all that jazz, and see how it plays out.
I'm pretty excited for this, actually.
I am always excited anytime we give Terran an excuse to go mech.
Mech's great, but what I'm really excited is for some more Sky Terran, because it's impressive. Battle cruisers are awesome. My dream, of course, is I want to see Thors on the ground, battle cruisers in the air. You know, just 1-to-1. There's four Thors. Wow, that's tough. And 4 battle cruisers, and then just a bunch of Marines.
4 Thors and many years ago.
Yeah, it would look well done. Abraham Lincoln, I get you.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's good. David Kim said right now it's looking like the only area where Terran might be weak is late game PvT, but it's still debatable. He went on to say that if so, this change would address that area because upgrading Vikings that are really core in that matchup will also help with the Hellbat transition in the late game. So,
sure.
Just it's on paper, like a lot of these changes, it seems like a no-brainer. We'll have to see how it pans out on the balanced test map. Finally, the third change is Viper starting with full energy. On Monday, Kyle, we talked about this, and you were quite polarized in a negative fashion about this. And it made
It
made me kind of laugh, but I want to get your thoughts again.
Oh, well, let's see here. So, this is one change they're trying out right now. Mm-hmm. You pop out of the egg, you're at full energy. Idra made the joke this week that means you immediately die to a feedback.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
A frightening prospect for everyone. Mm-hmm. The real interesting thing about this is right now a Viper pops out and they've got about a 50-second window that they are completely useless in. Yeah. And in that 50 seconds, they usually fly over to some building that's not being used and chew on it for about 45 seconds to get their full mana before traveling out all the way to the army. So in what David Kim was previously saying with Zerg is already dealing with 5 bases, we think, changing the Overlord to help him out isn't a big deal. This is one of those changes to help out Zerg because that's a lot of stuff to do in the background just to enjoy one of the new casters.
Yeah, not to mention that just the playstyle of Zerg in general is reactionary. You see something coming and then you make the units. So if something's coming and you have to make Vipers and you chew on things for 45 seconds.
Artosis brought up this week that it's kind of scary that against mech, and when we're trying to buff mech, Vipers suddenly get more powerful because that's popping out of the egg with 2 abducts ready. And if you pull up as a Zerg to a Terran siege line and you go, okay, 6 tanks. Spawn them in the background, get them in the battle, and immediately tanks are gone. No need to ever get swarm hosts, and we just win the game.
That's a good point.
So, personally, I think it's going to help out a lot of players, and it's a completely underused unit at the moment.
Yeah, thank you, and Artosis, by the way, for the StarCraft nightmare I'm going to have later this evening.
About getting feedbacked?
No, about pulling my tanks up to a line. So just being like, mine, and mine.
Yeah, it's not an instant win unit, most certainly. Mm-hmm. What's really cool is it's been brought up that Blizzard's also tooling with the spell itself, maybe. That they are going to make it a debuff instead of a spell effect, so that it actually affects the units like a Widowmine, which is
You're talking about the cloud, the blinding cloud?
Yeah, the blinding cloud.
Okay, sorry, you didn't say what you were talking about.
Oh, okay, sorry, I just got excited. Well, he's only got 2 spells. I thought you'd follow along. I've Doctor something that affects range. Anyway, so this would be a debuff on them. So units like the Widowmine are completely unaffected by blinding cloud because it's an ability, it's a spell. It just kind of shoots out. Same thing with like a ghost. If he's in that, he could still EMP a Viper. But this would actually make it so that those spells range are reduced as well. So that would make Vipers a viable strat against a whole bunch of Widow Mines.
Gotcha.
Making them more like real mines, where you'd have to literally like stand on top of them to make it go off.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's exciting.
That is. Also curious if that might be too far, but yeah.
And you know what? If you're a badass Protoss enough to have like a hidden pylon, and you know he's spawning Vipers in his base, and while they're flying to meet the main army out in front of your base, you're sneaking through some instantly summoned Templars to feedback them. Better for you. So I don't really think that's an issue. This would help out a lot of players, I think, and it would improve the unit, but I don't think it's quite what everyone was hoping for when we heard the Viper was getting messed with.
Yeah, I mean, your first initial thought was tweaking the range on Abduct or something.
Yeah, or just giving it a new spell that helps it find a new role. I feel like we have Swarm Hosts for breaking sieges at the moment, and that seems to be working well for everyone when you put some Mutalists over them.
Yeah, they're not necessarily as good against Colossus, though.
No. Colossus Abducts are essential, it feels like. Though, again, having to bring up DRG this week, if you watched his games, you don't need them. You just make a whole bunch of Corruptors randomly in the middle of the game and completely smash with your Hydras.
Yeah. We've seen that a million times before, though, where the Zerg has gone for the Corruptor counter, and all the Colossus are dead, and suddenly you just have a ton of Corruptors who can't attack anything else the Protoss has.
Oh, but he doesn't care. He's leaving them over the Stalkers, much like you leave a factory over anyone you're fighting. So these things, now that they are useless. He throws them away. They absorb a bunch of shots while his Hydras are doing all the work, and then he just maxes on Mutas in the background.
Okay. Cool stuff. So you were happy to see DRG actually win a game?
Win a game. He's back in Code S for this season.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I bet you're excited.
I am.
You think he's gonna go far, or do you think he's gonna get knocked out in the round of 32?
I don't know. His game, his ZVT was really wacky. He had 2 ZVPs, which were amazing. He knew exactly what he was doing and used the exact strat I just described twice in a row and beat the guys. But he won his ZVT, but it was the most like random, oh my God, I need roaches. Wait a minute. It just felt like one of my games. So,
Gotcha.
So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping, and he's got high hopes as well. So
yeah. Do you remember StarCraft Universe, Kyle? Or should I say World of StarCraft?
World of StarCraft has been going since StarCraft 2 came out. Like, I remember seeing this and being like, wow, this is what the Blizzard marketplace is going to be about.
Yeah, it is no longer called World of StarCraft, though. Remember, Blizzard's lawyers got all in a tizzy when that happened. It's now called StarCraft Universe. If you don't remember, this was the hopeful StarCraft MMO made, inside the StarCraft 2 engine. It previously released StarCraft Universe Chronicles of Fate earlier this year. That was like a single-player prologue to kind of introduce the story of this MMO. It's kind of like an alternate universe. What happened if, like, Kerrigan died kind of story. Yeah. Basically, the plot of the first of the modern Star Trek movies. Let's take an established universe and do a schism.
Well, and also the plot of the dream you have is Raynor in the final level of the Protoss.
Yes, actually,
Wings of Liberty.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. For some odd reason, my mind immediately went to dreamy Chris Pine, Captain Kirk. I don't know what that says about me.
You're dreaming about him.
But anyway, it has a Kickstarter. They're looking to raise $80,000 to help fund a proper release of this game. They have Blizzard's permission to do this, which I think is really, really freaking cool. And the final version is going to be playable through the starter edition of StarCraft 2, so you won't even need to pay for a copy of StarCraft to play it. So the Kickstarter went up a couple days ago, and I'm bringing it up right now. Okay, so they've got 26 days left, and they've already raised $27,807 of their $80,000 goal. So this is kind of neat. I really want to see this succeed. Really freaking bad. I think this is the first thing on Kickstarter I've ever wanted to back.
So they're actually working to take it out of StarCraft 2 and make its own game, yeah?
It's still going to be a quote-unquote custom thing you're going to have to launch from a StarCraft 2 client, but it can be launched from the starter edition.
I see. Okay. Well, you know what that says to me is these guys have been putting a lot of work into this, and they've been going since the beginning, and probably really frustrated that the Blizzard marketplace they were promised when they started this great undertaking has not happened. And so they've been in constant contact with Blizzard, and eventually they decided this was the best option for them.
Right. And to refresh for our listeners, if you weren't around in the early days of the Wings of Liberty beta and what was thrown around about the StarCraft 2 client before the game actually properly released, was we were supposed to have this almost map store, like a playoff of the App Store, where people had custom maps, custom games, custom everything, and there would be people could charge money for their products. And that just has never happened. It really, that's it. It didn't come to pass.
Well, and people made a lot of really cool things, like side-scrollers. There's currently one in the game that's a Castlevania sort of remake with a platformer. I mean, it's quite impressive, but they wanted people to go all out with these, and they didn't give them the support to do it. So something this massive has probably been sitting on its butt for a while, and I can understand why the teams wanted to get moving.
Yeah, exactly. So there's been stories about this all over the internet. A Kotaku article said that the final version is supposed to be fully multiplayer, but can also be soloed, and it'll incorporate all kinds of typical MMO features like player progression, inventory retention, and the like. So very cool stuff. Head on over to Kickstarter if you think this is interesting, and just search for StarCraft Universe and support them, man. Or even more so, if you want to know a little more, go try StarCraft Universe Chronicles of Fate on the custom app store. Or not the store, just the custom games. So this is neat. I'm really excited that Blizzard was just like, yeah, go ahead, try and raise money for this. Go nuts.
And that's why it works. If it wasn't, it'd be the most awkward asking for money ever.
Well, they wouldn't be able to. This would be a whole different story. It would be Blizzard slaps down indie devs.
Yeah, who make a game in their own game, so
yeah.
Understandably so.
Yeah, exactly. In sadder news, Thorzain is not entirely retiring, but he's going part-time. Once again, med school is stealing another great StarCraft player.
How interesting.
He made a post on his blog this past week saying that I'm 22 years old now, and I've told myself and others for a long time that I don't want to keep doing esports full-time for too long, because according to me, it doesn't provide you with a very secure or bright future, especially not if you've only been a pro gamer. I've applied for university every year since I finished high school, but always turned it down because I wanted to keep being a pro gamer. My motivation has swindled, and I feel that I still want to keep playing, but not put all my eggs in the StarCraft 2 basket, so to speak. He goes on to talk about that he will still be representing EG in the future, and that he's starting school this autumn for the next 5.5 years. So
cool.
Thorzain, man, I'm sad to see you not be a full-time StarCraft player, but best of luck to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I wonder what's with the med school.
I would spin it in this way. There's a lot of smart sons of bitches playing StarCraft professionally.
I guess so, with quick hands.
They're all going to become not only the most precise surgeons in the world, but the quickest.
Sure, probably helps with surgery. Probably good with reaction times and other sorts of things in like a EMT sort of situation. So if you're driving an ambulance around. Now
they just need to, have some kind of statistics screen at the end of an operation, so you can see your incisions per minute.
I don't know if they're all incisions. I liked it though. I loved it.
Yeah. So that's interesting. You can go see the full blog post over on Team Liquid right now. It's one of the top stories.
Maybe they just get addicted to high risk and high payout.
You just made every doctor sound like some kind of high stakes gambler.
Kind of, right? I think it's pneumonia. Let's go with pneumonia.
Yes,
now we have tests, but like something wrong in your brain, pressure or something and they need to perform surgery, like that's got to be guesswork when you're in there.
No one, I don't know what medical shows do you watch? Like the Black Death or something? Because in my world, you have MRIs for a reason, sir.
Oh, have you ever watched an episode of House? How sure is he?
He's incredibly sure. And he takes an entire 45 minutes to be sure before he has that epiphany look on his face. The music plays and he figures it all out. I don't care if it's methodical. That is one of my favorite shows ever. It's a great show. Bring it back. Not really. The last season was kind of bad. You know what else is bad? A rock slide that's turned into a wood chipper for roaches.
Yeah. So apparently on the map Anaconda, at that nice little cool rock bridge, there is this glitch that happened where after it already landed, and 10 seconds or so after it, the units tried to proceed through and just got destroyed.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I was watching this highlight reel, and I was just like, well, I don't get what the problem is. And as you can see here, the rocks just fall, and after they're already down, the roaches slap against it, and it looks like Steve Buscemi going into the wood chipper, man. I don't know what to tell you.
It's gruesome, most certainly.
Yeah.
It does kind of look like effort's already suffering quite a bit here, so I don't know if it was the biggest deal in the world. He was definitely outnumbered in the first place by not having any infestors with his army and just going roach against roach infestor.
But didn't help.
No, yeah, but this is not fair, of course.
It didn't help at all.
You never know, man.
You never know. StarCraft is a game where just amazing things can happen.
He's just like, I have all this supply. What do I? Oh, thank God. I wish every map had a big wood chipper in the back so I could just go, please, I don't want to select my Marines and individually kill them.
That's funny. Well, you're useless. Get in the pit. So this is, I'm sure, being worked on right now.
Actually, I guess there's never been a unit where you can sell it in StarCraft.
The bunker.
In Warcraft. But that's not a unit. And even in Warcraft,
it's a structure, though.
Yeah, in Warcraft 3, you could unsummon buildings as undead, but...
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, the undead was my favorite race to play.
You know, when I bought that box, I was so sad that dead bodies weren't a resource.
They're not. Well, I guess they are for your corpse catapult.
Well, yeah, they can pump them out.
They're ammo, and they're also free heals.
Well, you actually don't launch any of the corpses, but they generate if you get the ability, and then you could use the necromancers to make the skeletal.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's what it was, yeah. And that's how I won everything in Warcraft 3.
Well, because it was the coolest way to win anything.
Yeah, I just bring in like 4 corpsers, drop all the bodies, get a couple necromancers, and just be like, ha-ha!
Yeah, man. Feed on the ghouls, and you gotta... So it was a nice little mechanic, but I was just a little sad that I didn't have ghouls going out to harvest bodies, bring them back, and that's what I made a unit with.
Have you gone back to Warcraft 3 since we started playing StarCraft 2?
Until Dota 2 came out, I was in there every weekend.
Okay, well, non-Dota. The RTS portion.
Yes, I played a multiplayer game about 2 months ago. Mostly I get in there because I have an itching to play Ski-Bees.
Oh, okay.
Tower defense.
Yeah, I went back last year and started playing it. I was just like, holy crap, I looked at the game like I had never seen it before with like brand new eyes because I had this new understanding of how to play RTSs.
Yeah, that is a little shocking. It's particularly disappointing now that I've moved on to StarCraft 2 Zerg, which has such a personality and such a cool way to play, to go back and be like, well, if I was good at Terran, I guess I'd be good at every race in Warcraft 3. Just a lot of buildings to produce different things and the heroes. It's understandable why a game like Dota came out of Warcraft 3, because really the hero management was the best part. And it was about getting them experience, getting the gold, going to the shop, picking up some cool stuff.
Which, as an RTS, that was my least favorite part of that game, but I never got into Dota.
Well, I love the campaign aspect of it. It really gave it a continuity, as well as being able to keep your items from level to level. So if you actually like put in the work to get that shadow orb with Mira, was that her name?
Dude, I don't remember.
Yeah, well, she was in work. You know, the teleporting, the warden. Illidan's warden.
Oh, that would be Mayev.
Mayev. Again, one of these names I've read in my head for years, but never had to say aloud.
Yeah, she had like the giant circle blade and the helmet,
And the big hooks on her back, and so people could make baskets through it.
Gotcha. All right. That's enough Warcraft 3 talk. We have some updates on the MLG BS from last week. I'm just going to call it BS. Because to catch you up, last week, Sundance made an incredibly, really well thought out PR move and tweeted that StarCraft wouldn't be at MLG Columbus.
In that many words.
Which I couldn't believe that there was a negative reaction to such a, by the way, at 6 a.m. But anyways, since then there's been a lot of chatter about why StarCraft isn't going to be an MLG. People saying that, it's because StarCraft's the only game you have to pay to have at your tournament, or other stuff. But one of the big things going around was that MLG couldn't even have StarCraft at Columbus, even if they wanted it there, because Red Bull was happening the same weekend and had already had the license, and Blizzard doesn't allow tournaments to compete with one another. But according to Blizzard, it's completely untrue. Sir Scoots tweeted saying that sources close to SSNN report that Red Bull has been granted a SC2 license for the same dates as MLG. So they asked first. Sorry. Cloaken directly replied. Cloaken is the community manager for StarCraft 2, if you're not familiar with him. And he said, Red Bull is the only company to have requested a license for that weekend. It's an open, non-exclusive weekend.
Right. So, it's one thing to say, we really didn't want to compete with Red Bull. That's getting real popular. The fact that it's kind of this half-truth is what really upset people and myself.
Yeah, and then... Sorry, continue.
Oh, no, tell the whole story first.
Well, I was going to say, and then further, Cloaken's just kind of been on this transparency warpath this week, because on Inside the Game, In Control was on, and apparently he had been talking with Cloaken about everyone running around saying that MLG has to pay to have StarCraft, and MLG gets paid by every other game to have their game. And Cloaken and In Control stated on Inside the Game that Cloaken confirmed that MLG does not pay Blizzard anything to have StarCraft at their event.
Right, but still is not the most supported game prize pool-wise to have at your tournament.
True.
So other companies like Riot are willing to shell out quite a bit to have your tournament have a huge prize pool, whereas Blizzard doesn't seem to be as helpful in that department.
Right, although that's not necessarily the truth for this year, because, it was my understanding that all the prize money for WCS is being put up by Blizzard. Granted, they're not as big as they used to be.
Well, and that's WCS, Blizzard's baby.
Right.
You having an MLG on the weekend, it's understandable why you would put up the prize pool when you're getting money from Dr. Pepper and whatever else to get views.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, I don't know. I think the whole thing's really been just incredibly poorly handled by MLG.
Sure. I think we can safely say that. Did we want a candlelit apology? No.
I would like them to just stop lying. That'd be nice.
Well, just tell us the truth of it. Yeah. Even though it might hurt it. There are other more popular games, or the way the company works, and with its game cycle, it's better for us to have newer games each time, because that pays the bills better. Yeah,
I just want to know why. I don't want all these BS excuses and then find out from Blizzard that it's not true. So I don't know, man. This whole thing is a mess.
It's tough because the StarCraft community really feels like we made MLG. MLG was around long before StarCraft 2, but I think in this age of streaming, we came along, we had the big numbers with them, and now we're getting broken up with.
They never grow. They never grew as large, as fast as they did when Wings of Liberty hit their circuit.
Right, and a lot of that is due to streaming technology coming out.
Yeah. But you pretty much say thank you, Twitch, and thank you, Blizzard, for that, for MLG's growth anyway.
Speaking of which, have you heard that Twitch is finally coming out with an audio-only app?
What? No.
Yeah, in the near future, they've been saying this is going to happen.
I'm really excited about that. I'm sure a lot of people aren't, but I am.
Why would you not be excited about that?
I don't know. People who have just people who don't listen to podcasts.
It is a bit of an older form.
Yeah.
And I feel like the younger generation might be a little more skilled at having that much going on at once. I could never do homework and watch TV. But if I'm basically sitting at a TV to do my homework, I think it would just kind of happen and I'd get good at it.
Yeah, well, homework's one thing. I don't know. I feel like if I'm doing my job now, like what I'm trained to do, something that's kind of a routine for me, I can have as many things going on at the same time as I need.
Little sparkle. Like,
well, not that take my hands, because then
looks like Doc Brown's office everywhere, just so you can stay sane.
I was hanging a clock over the toilet and I slipped and hit my head. When I woke up, I drew this.
It's the WCS schedule.
There you go. Which leads us into tournament results. And this past weekend, there was the International 3. Wait, no, that wasn't StarCraft. We had the WCS regional finals for Season 2 for all 3 regions, Korea, America, Europe. I feel like we've already talked about them a bit. But nonetheless, let's talk about Korea. The Korean finals, we had Maru facing off against Rain. Maru being the underdog who just 4-0'd the previous WCS champion Innovation in the semifinals. He went on to show that he isn't just a cheese-tastic piece of Gouda. That he, like we said at the top of the show, he can actually play standard games.
Hey, you're right. 4-2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So still, but that was a 2 followed by a heavy
Sweep.
4.
Yeah.
So
the first game he won was a cheese fest, and he won it very quickly. But that second game, he moved into very standard StarCraft.
Mm-hmm.
And Maru did really well.
It was a lot like watching Nestea in that regard. The second things get a little off, he just goes so heavily standard that he's not absorbing anything that's been developed in the past few years.
That's a good point. That's a good analogy. I like that. But it was a good series, and not one of my more favorite series from the year, because it did get so standard. But it was nice. It was a good mix. We got a nice mix of cheese and standard play.
Right, a decent finals. Sadly, because GOM wasn't doing the production, there wasn't a lot of hype on their end, so they felt a little lackluster. If you watch the WCS version, you got to see all the production, and it seemed all right, but still not the best finals. But I feel like the Korean finals are always kind of a toss-up.
Dude, I'm so excited for Season 3 because it's going back to GOM.
Me too. And the lineup, of course, with DRG in it.
Oh, man, I hope he performs, dude. I really do.
I hope so, too. I mean, like I've said in the past, I don't want to be a bandwagon jumper. And he still is probably the Zerg that uses the least roaches. I don't ever see, like, a roach-to-win strategy out of him. That's what I love.
Nice. WCS America, the finals are between Jaedong and Polt. Polt 4-0 Jaedong. Dizam.
Yep. Which is real sad after Jaedong took out Scarlet right before that.
This is sad. That's what he deserves for taking out Scarlet. I was rooting for Scarlet.
Deserve, but the sad part is, like, you're like, oh, well, he couldn't even handle the last guy. Why do you have to beat Scarlet by 1 point? We could have seen what Scarlet had against Polt.
Yeah, that's a good point. Scarlet did damn well. She 3-0'd alive in the round of 8, and she came very close to moving on into the finals. Like you said, only lost by 1 game. It was a 3-2 victory by Jaedong over Scarlet.
She's very fast. Not quite as angle maniac as Stefano was, but really gets in some good positions and has some nice forethought.
Yeah. And then Teja, I always follow Teja, man. I was happy, not as happy as I could have been, though. But I like Polt, too, so it wasn't too bad. But, yeah, so Teja, he just won the Asus ROG. But he ended up knocking out Max Head in the round of 8, but he lost to Polt 3-2 in the semifinals. So a lot of close wins in the WCS America finals. And, of course, only one American. And then WCS
North American.
Yeah, WCS Europe, we really already told the story. It was MC versus Duck being a relatively unknown Protoss, but got the upset and won 4-3 over MC. And these were really good PvPs. I enjoyed these. I'm not a PvP fan.
Well, and MC doing real great against MMA as well. So 3-1 there on his way to the finals.
Yeah. Yeah, both MC and MMA and Bomber, I feel like we're having this resurgence of Esports Federation players.
Yeah.
I feel like we all kind of kind of counted out now. GRG's back in the round of 32, and hopeful. If only Marine King could win anything, I'd be a happy man.
You know what? It's odd that we expected Kespa to be owning it on. We don't really see anything this season.
Well, wasn't Maru from a Kespa team? Crap. I don't know off the top of my head. I apologize. If only we had these internet-connected devices via a series of tubes. that would be just glorious.
Well, we're gambling too much. Tubes are clogged.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Maru's on Prime. What am I thinking about?
Yeah, Maru Prime.
Marine King was even coaching him at one point. He was in the booth talking to him. Man, I feel bad about that. I knew that too. Jeez. Anyways, so go Duck Duck, man. It's good PvPs. So that's very cool. That more or less wraps up the show, which means it's time for emails, Kyle.
Well, let's read them.
All right. Skylar Johnson writes in and says, "Hi, guys. I really enjoy your show. I listen to it as a podcast on my weekly commute from Bakersfield to Santa Monica in California, which is about a 2-hour drive. Man, I miss Southern California. You have no idea. I worked near Santa Monica when I lived out there. Anyway, he said, I've recently started trying to get into Dota 2 and gave the international shot last night, watching it via the in-game spectator mode, which I didn't hear about until I was about 30 minutes into my first Twitch stream viewing of professional Dota 2 play. I've maybe only played about 50% of the tutorial and read one online article, so I really have nearly zero knowledge of this game." That's really thorough information about your history with Dota. Thank you for that.
It really beats out the people who are like, I'm Protoss, how do I win?
Against what? Can we get more information, please? Anyway, he goes on to say that I was extremely impressed with the spectator mode and the ability to switch between camera modes and listen to the casters in game. What a great feature to be able to control your own camera, but still listen to the casters or even follow your favorite player. Another admission, I only really knew what was going on maybe 5% of the gameplay. Back to StarCraft 2. Do you know if this is something Blizzard is considering? After seeing it in action, I really want to see something similar to this implemented into StarCraft 2. This may or may not have already been talked about, but it's something that I think could benefit the game greatly. Maybe Legacy of the Void? Thanks, guys. So, Skylar, this is not something we talked about previously on StarCast. Definitely go listen to our Dota podcast if you haven't, because we talked about it at length on there. But I feel it bears repeating because this has been such a hot topic this week.
Mm-hmm.
And this was my first time using the in-game spectating mode for Dota. Really, my first time watching Dota esports. I've had it on in the background in the past. Never really got invested. But that in-game spectating mode is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's certainly, in my opinion, it's a 100% required feature for watching Dota. That game is just all over the place. There's so many storylines happening at once. There's some basic features they would need to implement to our replay spectating mode to even make this viable as a spectating mode. Because right now, we have observers that work for us. And the way StarCraft works is such a back and forth, and you can see a lot of things coming down the road. I mean, you have buildings coming. It's not just a split decision. Oh my gosh, there's a fight. Teleport and blah, 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 blah. Those happen.
My God, if you are a podcast listener, you owe it to yourself to watch the video show every now and then just to see Kyle flail his arms around when he does sound effects.
Well, that was my alchemist with the swords going.
Oh, the slap chop?
Yep.
Okay.
But something simple like when the pro players bought an item in the Dota tournament, it would show the item, a little arrow, and who's it going to. I like having skilled observers because they show me more than I can actually see if I was sitting in game. Or it's things that wouldn't register, like an upgrade happening on a building in the background. Sure, I can have that tab open, but it doesn't have that same sort of communication.
Right, but I do like having that control, even with StarCraft, which I agree with you. I think it's less necessary. I would still love it, though. I'd love to have the control to, well, I want the APM screen up. I want the production tab up. I don't care what you want to show me. I want to go click on the engineering bay and see what it's researching, how far along it is while a battle's going on.
Right, and one of the best features of it, of course, would be I only want to watch the player I care about.
Exactly. I feel like in StarCraft that would be the most wanted reason for that feature. I mean, also I would just like to watch like Gome TV games in game, so it's really pretty in high definition and proper graphics as opposed to the GOM stream.
That was one of the things about it too, and you didn't really think about it because you're like, oh well, it's streaming, but it is rendering on your computer. It's as good as the game.
Yeah, which if you're a gamer is probably going to be pretty damn clear.
Yeah, and hell, why not have that extra clarity? I mean, we already have a client, so is this a feature that'll come with Legacy of the Void? I doubt it, but it'd be something worth delaying for.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And I'm not even sure it's something that they would need to say comes with the box copy. It could just be something they work on, let us know they're working on it, but just say, it's just going to release whenever it's ready.
The ultimate problem with this is that Blizzard would have to take that extra undertaking to have a subscription-based system inside their game. And if they can't get the arcade marketplace going, that feels like a really big step. And granted, not all Dota tournaments are going to happen in the in-game client. There's going to be a lot of them that are much smaller prize pools, don't get that sort of setup happening, and just stream it online.
Yeah,
so
all good points. But to his question, do we know if this is something Blizzard is considering? They've said literally nothing that I can find. I haven't heard them mention anything about adding a live in-game observation feature.
Nope, and it's not essential, and Blizzard likes to, make calculated moves, so I doubt it.
Yeah. Sorry. I want it, though, so Blizzard, if you're listening and you give a crap what I say, please, pretty please.
Oh, no, it'd be beautiful. And you know what a simple step would be? Just get the WCS games as replay packs, but add a feature to a voiceover.
Yeah, that wouldn't be so bad, which is what I would really want for, say, the Korean games anyway, because they're so late or early in the morning for me.
Right, and then, hey, if I could just go to the WCS website, click download a replay pack, and that had the voiceovers there built into the game, that'd be a sexy way to view those.
Yep. It would. So thanks for your email, Skylar. Definitely go check out the Dota podcast we did. It's on the same feed. If you subscribe to our podcast, you probably already heard it, actually. Joe wrote in and said, I started listening to Biggest Fan, and as I find these podcasts, you both do better than XM radio. But I'm confused. Kyle. He's going to sit you down right now and look you right in the eyes. Okay, Kyle?
Intervention.
Kyle, you seem like the voice of kindness on StarCast. But on Biggest Fan, the few shows I've caught, it seems like you are actually the foil to Brockett's voice of fandom. Like really playing the role of talking down on people's favorite things, which weirds me out. Since I love The Walking Dead, for instance, I actually stopped the podcast halfway through because I was getting too mad at you. Same thing happened for the Stephen King episode. So anyway, are most of them like that on purpose, or is this just random? Now I'm listening to energy drinks because I don't like them, so I have no vested interest. So his questions are, is it like this on purpose or is it just by random? Or my question I'm adding onto this, are you just a bastard?
I'm not a bastard. I play my role well. And frankly, Garrett, I think you are a bigger bastard than me on this show.
On StarCast?
Well, yes.
I don't think we were arguing that. He said you're the nice guy on StarCast.
I know, but I'm saying that with your and I's dynamic, the last thing you would need me to be would be the negative guy who doesn't understand anything happening.
True. I also wanted to make the joke, but I was just like, I can't play this straight because it's too mean. But I wanted just to be like, well, Kyle also just has really bad taste. I can't. None of the music he likes, I like. We hardly agree on movies, with the exception of the fact that Harrison Ford is just the god from our childhood.
No, we have our standards, of course, like Star Wars and all these sort of things.
Right. But no, I'm just kind of ripping on you. Mostly, I put this in here to say, Joe, I agree with you. I was screaming at my computer listening to the Biggest Fan Walking Dead episode.
I've heard that as
well.
well.
I just wanted to wring your neck, man. I wanted to kill you. And then see if you came back as a walker so I could kill you again.
Well, I'm sorry to say that sometimes I I have to bring that to the table. With that particular episode, I think, Brockett was really a big fan of Walking Dead, so I had to play my part.
Just real quick, I don't want to retread something that happened in another podcast, but I don't care. It went short today, so we have time for some random off-topic banter. Refresh my memory. Did you guys read the comics, watch the show, or just one or the other?
For me, it was all show. Brockett's done both.
Oh, that's why you hate Walking Dead. Never mind. Okay, because the show's kind of bad lately.
Well, and I don't hate it. I was forced to make an opinion. I'm kind of defending myself a little bit. But of course, man, I have strong opinions. And I happen to be on a show where...
It's all opinion all the time.
Well, not only that, but I clearly love StarCraft. That's why I'm here for 162 episodes.
Right, exactly. Like if we were to do... Say we were to do an episode about League of Legends, probably a lot of that would come out in both of us.
I am a ridiculously understanding guy. People are going nuts around me, and I'm just like, I get why that happened. I disagree. But when I'm asked my opinion, it's opinion time.
Yeah, you're not going to sugarcoat it. It's the whole point of that show.
And plus, biggest fan gets to be a little more blue as well, so the opinions can be a bit stronger. And I think there's quite a few times here on StarCast where I'm like, well, and when I take that big long pause, I'm usually thinking of a nice PC way to format what's actually happening in my head.
Oh, yeah. Like last week with the MLG thing, and to our editor, get a beep ready, my initial reaction was, fuck that shit. It was just really unprofessional. And what were you expecting the reaction to be?
Yeah.
And yeah, so we try and keep it family friendly and whatnot. So that's also probably another reason you're seeing that.
And because that's my role here. And I'm actually very interested in these things. I love history. I love all the bits and pieces that go into a decision. So I love looking up why that happened. And, I said it last week. He put it out there in probably one of the most easily ignored times it could have been.
Yeah. It's fun. It's funny. Read the freaking Walking Dead comics, though, dude. They're so good. I'm not sure if I said this on the show, but I've been reading through them lately, and I've just hit a point in the comics where the comics have officially made me hate the TV show. The comics have reached such a high point. The writing is so good. What is happening in the story is so momentous that I'm just like, where did you go wrong with the show? You had literally a Bible of good ideas, and you didn't execute on them.
You know what? Would you like to make a deal?
What's the deal?
I'll read the Walking Dead comic if you will read the second Harry Potter book.
Sure.
Just so you can realize how horrible those movies are at times.
I've only read the first one and part of the last one, as far as books were concerned.
Part of the last one.
I just started and then something came up and I never finished it. I wasn't invested. Obviously, I skipped everything in between, just watched the movies and was like, I can't wait to know what happens. I'm just going to read the last one, and then just got bored and wandered off.
Sure, and it's easy to make that decision. I'm doing that with Game of Thrones. I really want to know what happens, but I'm like, these are so well produced.
Yeah. I'm doing the same thing with Game of Thrones. I'll tell you what I couldn't do it with was Hunger Games.
Yeah, you got really into that.
Yeah, I'm not a big book guy for everyone out there. At least I wasn't. I've started trying to get a little more into them. Next thing I think I'm going to tackle is the Ender's Games books. But yeah, I remember just reading the first one just before the movie came out. I don't know why. I never want to read the book before I see the movie because I just want to enjoy the movie. But for something about it, I was just like, I don't know. I got nothing else to do. And it was when we were going to MLG Columbus. I was like, okay, I'm going to need something to do on the plane. I picked up the first book, and I just tore through that. And I was just like, damn, I have to know what happens next. And I just killed the next two books over the course of a couple months. And I have severe issues with the film as a result. I still like the film. But, man, if you didn't read the book, you miss a lot of stuff.
Well, I recently just got into the Dresden Files, and I heard they made a TV show of that. I'm not even checking that out. That sounds awful.
I've heard good things about those books.
They're a lot of fun. You know what? It's like if I made a movie, it would be Neil Patrick Harris as the wizard. just the situations this man gets himself into are hilarious but understandable and, well, wizardly.
So he's a wizard that goes to bars and picks up chicks? Is that what you're saying?
Sort of, and the wacky situations that there ensue when a demon breaks down a door when he's trying to have a date.
Yeah. My entire opinion of Neil Patrick Harris has been a result of watching Harold and Kumar too many times and leaving How I Met Your Mother on just whenever it's on TV. So I at times forget that he is an openly gay man because he plays some of the straightest people I've ever seen.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to forget that, right? Because he plays the like kind of scummy, douchey dude so well.
Probably because he can see it so objectively, and probably because he has to deal with it in his day-to-day dating.
That's a good point. It's like he's playing a caricature of people he has a low opinion of. Maybe that's why it works so well. Someone's screaming, Starship Troopers, the book versus the movie. Oh, no, or maybe Neil Patrick Harris. That is one of my favorite Neil Patrick Harris things.
It could be a book versus the movie thing.
Yeah. I recently watched Starship Troopers and forgot he was in it, and I was like, oh my God. NPH.
Yep.
There he is. So, anyways, and that'll do it for today's show. Thanks to everyone who left us reviews in the iTunes store. This week, Oceans left us a review. He just said, great, with an exclamation mark. So thank you very much for that review. If you're a podcast listener, if you're of the iTunes persuasion and you haven't left us a review, please do so. It's a free way to help out the show a lot. It's absurd how much reviews kind of help the show find new listeners. So head on
It
over
really
there.
does. And in a long span, as well as in the short term, I mean, if a bunch of you haven't left reviews, if you just go on there, it really helps a lot of new people see us as well.
Mm-hmm. I still to this date don't understand the iTunes ranking
it's
feature.
It's like gutting a ferret and chopping off the head of a chicken and like scrawling. It's the most ridiculous system.
Or rice chicken. So, very, very cool. StarCast, as always, is a production of amove.tv. Head on over to amove.tv right now. Just posted the Dota show. You can see the full post over there. You can find this and many other awesome shows on amove.tv, like This Week in Blizz, or we just finished Season 1 of the Campaign Roundtable. A lot of video game talk over there. Check that out. TheStarCast.com is the place to go for our forums, archives, t-shirts, and all kinds of other stuff. We record the show live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/thehandsomenerd. All of our VODs are available at youtube.com/StarCastShow, and our podcast can be found on the Frog Pants Studios Ultra feed over at frogpants.com. Email us. Let us know what you think. Give us your opinion. Send us a story that we may have missed, or just say hi. That email is starcastshow@gmail.com, or you can call and leave us a voicemail, which we will play on the show. That number is 941-882-0281. Give the StarCast line a call. Say hi. So follow us on Twitter at the StarCast. I am at Garrett Art. Kyle is at Kyle Fergusson. And big thanks to Captain Newbing, our editor, who puts together the audio-only podcast version and makes us sound even sexier than we already do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, baby. And finally, please check out nomoonart.com for my freelance graphic design portfolio. I do a lot of Twitch stream designs, tournament designs, logo designs, anything of that nature. If you need a freelance graphic designer, I'd love to do some work for you. So check it out at nomoonart.com. Kyle, where can people find you fanning over big things?
Well, you can find me at Biggest Fan Podcast, where this past week we missed out. So next week's going to be Soders. And I can tell you
Did
that
really
the
just
face...
say Soder?
Soders, that's right. I'm hoping he posted like that, too. Or Pop, if you will. Here in the city, it's known as Pop quite oftenly. But anyway, I can assure you it'll be the most objective Coke versus Pepsi you've ever heard, because I don't know the taste of either. And we're going to have that as the face-off.
I prefer Coke.
Good to know.
If they have it, vanilla Coke. Vanilla
My
Coke.
dad's a big cherry Coke man.
Oh, I'm not big on artificial cherry flavor. It reminds me of medicine.
If I can get anything, it's an orange juice or a limeade.
All right, fair enough. Ooh, limeade is good stuff. Anyways, this limeade was sponsored by DoghouseSystems.com, TweakedAudio.com, and SE2QuoteOfTheDay.com. Those are our sponsors. Use our code StarCast. That code gets you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig, and also 30% off and free shipping on your entire order of earbuds from TweakedAudio.com. SE2 Quote of the Day has their new app out for the iOS store and for the Android store. You can now even save your favorite quotes on there. So check it out, search for QOTD, and download this SC2 Quote of the Day app. We thank all our sponsors for their support. As always, we love them. They're great to us, so be great to them. Check them out, support them. And we'll see you next week for episode 163 of StarCast. Good luck and have fun, everyone.
Take care.